I'm excited to be here. Thank you all for spending your Sunday here. And yes, we are going to be doing some more things at the booth. So I guess I have a couple of questions because we think about what do we want here? Why are we here? What are we doing? This is our 111 portal. When this conference actually started yesterday, as you know, we've had a lot of people come to the booth. Though, did you know it's January 11th? Yeah, 111. What does that mean? So does anyone want to just share out, what does that mean to you when you hear the numbers 111? Divine guidance. Divine guidance, yep. What else? 111, what does that mean for you in terms of numerology? Please. Yeah, so what we were saying is things in threes. So yes, there is a specific alchemy or magic in the Trinity, the number 111. So all the triple numbers do mean certain things. So 111, as you know, beginnings. We're in the beginning of a new year, we're in the beginning of a new cycle. So it's really auspicious. They're all here together and we're creating new realities for ourselves. So our conversation today is going to be about heart wisdom. How can the heart help us to tune into what we want to bring in this coming year? So I have a question. So I'm going to ask you to point to yourself. Just point to yourself, everybody. Okay, very good. So I'm seeing everybody that's watching, everybody pointed to their hearts, not to their heads. Interesting, because we think about what does the heart mean? Who am I? So my background is in cardiac nursing. I used to work at the Mayo Clinic down the street here. Worked in ICU, worked in ER, and love the heart. Ever since I was in nursing school, I saw my first open heart surgery, which I'm not going to go into the detail. But it was so interesting to watch that heart just beating in the chest. It's magic. So not only does the heart pump blood, nutrients, oxygen, it's awesome. What I've learned over the years at the Mayo Clinic, actually, I was introduced to Heart Math. Anybody know about Heart Math Institute? Oh, hands are going up. Yeah, very good. So it's a company that's based in California. They've been around for about 30 years, and they teach about the science of the heart and the wisdom that the heart brings. So really, the idea that the heart is a portal gives us information when we are quiet enough to hear it. So I brought my little relic from my nursing days, my stethoscope. I used this many years to listen to other people's hearts. Did I use it to listen to my own? I didn't really listen to my intuition. The brain was in the lead until I realized the importance of tuning into the heart. And so today we're going to invite you may already be practicing this. You may have a really good practice of meditation, heart connection, maybe it's prayer, stillness, whatever you do. We're going to play and do a twist on that. What I'm going to invite us to do together is we're going to do some breathing exercises because the breathing realigns that nervous system. We're going to focus on the heart. We're going to place our attention here. And then we're going to get really, really quiet and we're going to ask some questions. What does my heart want me to know? There's no expectation. We're not going to overthink this. We're just going to be curious and we're going to play. So who's up for that? Everybody good? All right, cool. All right, so first of all, and I'm going to add another little surprise because I am an aroma alchemist. And we're going to be adding some essential oils. So is anyone allergic to essential oils or any of those? Okay, so we'll keep them far away from you. So the essential oil that we've created for the SoulSearch Expo includes cardamom, sacred frankincense, and vanilla. And what that is doing is not only working on your 7 major chakras, your energy centers, it's also working on the ones beyond. So how do I tap into intuition? How do I tap into my angel? How do I tap into my spirit guides? You already have ways of doing that. But this will facilitate it. And you're going to facilitate that. The essential oils are, I would say, based in Sedona, they're magical. They have red rocks in them. There's a crystal inside of it. And it's going to amplify the process. Or not. Who knows? There's no expectation. So what I invite you to do right now is, let me pass around the oil first. And I can without too much. So just put a little drop in your left hand, and then we're going to have you activate it, which means rub it 3 times, or 3, and then just taking a nice slow deep breath. So as you're doing that, and again, if you don't want to play, this is optional. You certainly don't have to use the essential oil, but it will. What we found at our booth, you also see that we're doing chakra scans, and we can measurably see the difference after using certain essential oils. And the researcher and the scientist in me want to see that, and we're seeing it. So while you're doing that, pass it around, and I'm just going to invite you to focus your attention in the area of the heart. And what that means is just bring your attention there. You can put a hand on your heart or 2 hands on your heart if you'd like. Thank you. And we're just going to bring some attention to that. Think about your heart and think about gratitude and appreciation. Your heart is beating how many times a minute without you telling it what to do? It hasn't stopped yet, hopefully. Yes. So the heart chakra, the energetic center, is right in the center. Actually, it's for most people, it's on the left side of the chest, but really we're focusing on not just the physical heart, but the energetic heart. And so it's right in the center. Great question. Right here. Very good. But as you're experiencing that, we'll just kind of tune in, focusing on the heart. And now I'm going to ask you to take a few slow, deep breaths. And that rhythm can be 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. If that's comfortable, you can find your own pace. And as that oil is being passed around, once everybody's had that, I invite you to close your eyes. We're going to go a little bit, take a little deeper dive into the heart. So again, this focus is, focusing your attention in the area of the heart, a hand or 2 on the heart. And a nice slow deep breath. If you had your essential oil, you can breathe that again. Just imagining all those beautiful essential oils are going into your brain, into your lungs. And within about 20 minutes, they'll be in every single cell of your body. You have about 1 trillion cells, I believe, in your body. So they will, within 20 minutes, they'll be in every cell. So this one's called, it's actually an oil called SoulSearch. We created this just for the expo. It's cardamom, sacred frankincense, and vanilla.
Frankincense, vanilla?
Cardamom. So it's aligning all 7 chakras as well as beyond. So we're kind of reaching into the higher realms, reaching into your higher selves, your oversoul, and all of your, I call it my entourage. So everyone that walks with me in spirit. So yes, you're going to connect with that. And I'm just going to wait until everybody has the oil before further. Everybody's good? All right, so we're going to come back to the heart. Again, those slower, deeper breaths. Maybe 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. And as you continue, this is something we call heart-focused breathing. I'm going to invite you to recall a time when you were really in a state of appreciation, gratitude. Maybe a time when you really felt accomplished, you felt confident. A time when there was more flow, more ease in your day. And I want you to recall that. It's almost like you're time traveling back to that place. Now I'm going to invite you to re-feel that feeling of gratitude, that feeling of ease, of peace. And at any point you get distracted, there's a thought that comes in, which is very normal. Bring your attention back to the heart, back to that breath, and back to that feeling. And I invite you to take another inhalation of your essential oil. And now you feel that feeling. This is now anchoring this within your system. Now we're going to ask your heart, not from a place of expectation, but from a place of curiosity. What does my heart want me to know right now? And it may be a nudge, it may be a whisper. And just take a moment and capture that in your mind's eye. If you want to write on a piece of paper, you certainly can. And the next question, again, if you don't get anything, you're like, oh, am I doing it wrong? No, there's no wrong way to do this. This is between you and your heart and your higher self. We're just going to ask now a different question, or maybe a little bit of a similar question, but addressed a different way. So we're going to tune into the heart and say, what is the smallest step that I can take in this moment to get me to the life that I deserve, the life that I choose, the reality that I want in 2025? What's the smallest step that I can take? And just tuning into that. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to send the heart some love, some appreciation for self. Sometimes this is not something that we do typically. We may appreciate other people. If you have a list of what you're grateful for, I often ask, where are you on that list? And people say, oh, I'm not even on the list. Like, I know. So we're going to do that today. Right now is we're going to give gratitude to self, compassion to self, forgiveness to self, a sense of ease and peace. Grateful for that heart. It's always beating in our chest, always with us. Grateful for friends, grateful for community. Yes, absolutely. And back to self. This is not selfish. Oftentimes people say, oh, if I focus on me, that means I'm self-centered. I don't care about other people. No, we cannot give from an empty cup. So this is refilling our cup, and we deserve that. So just again, take a moment, focusing on that heart, giving yourself a big heart hug or a big squeeze, and saying thank you internally. And if this is challenging, think, oh yeah, I'm grateful, but, or oh, if I had, this is latitude, this is compassionate latitude that we call this at HeartMath. We are doing the very best we can in unprecedented times. We are showing up. We are here. Yes, we're here for others, but most importantly, we're here for ourselves with deep gratitude. Just feel into any feelings that are coming in, any insights that are coming in for you. And softening that breath. Again, slower, deeper breaths. And anchoring that in. this place of the heart is somewhere that we can come to anytime, anywhere. And with practice, you don't need to necessarily meditate or step away from a situation. You can come back here because you create a touchdown. You have a place to go. This is my okay place. It's my safe space, regardless of what's happening. You just reconnected with that place within yourself that can replenish. That can give you the answers that you're seeking. So let's take one more slow deep breath together. And now we want you to send appreciation and care to every single person, the person to the left of you, to the right of you, to the person in front of you, behind you, the people on the screen that are watching, and just sending so much gratitude to each other. And ease. It's a place of community. At HeartMath, we call this heart coherence. It's a state that you can activate. There's science behind this, that what you've just been doing, what we've all been doing together, not only activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which creates more ease, more calm in the body, you've just flooded yourself and your body with 1,400 biochemicals, including oxytocin, DHEA, which is a vitality or an anti-aging hormone, yes indeed, and all these other feel-good hormones. This will now, for the next few hours, support you as you walk around in your day-to-day. So well done. Congratulations. We've all dosed ourselves with some really good feel-good hormones. So what was that like for you all? Would anybody like to share out what certainly don't have to, but what did you notice when we were doing this together? Yeah, please. So for those of you that couldn't hear it, that are out there in TV land, it was more of a connection and a heart connection with the heart and the breath that oftentimes we don't do during our day. So that's exactly right. We think about our day-to-day, we hold our breath. What's the next thing that's going to happen? Oh my gosh, or we breathe really shallowly. And this is now a technique that I learned this when I learned this at the hospital. I thought I didn't meditate back then at all. I was just go, 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 go to get things done. I was in the military before that, years, and it's just, you just don't do this. Interestingly now, I get to work with military veterans. I get to work with active duty. I train Navy SEALs, and people who are going through post-traumatic stress, because this technique is not about relaxation necessarily. It can be, like what we did today, but you can also do this with practice on the move. So you can be walking, talking, running to some type of emergency, like firefighters. They can't be just like, oh, hang on, namaste, I just need a moment because I'm stressed. Like, okay, that's great, but you still have to get the job done. And so this has been so big right now in military organizations, law enforcement, because you can do this anytime, anywhere. No one even knows you're doing. I was doing this actually, Diane actually used to work together at Mayo Clinic. So it's a certain physician that was a cardiothoracic surgeon that I was, who had a personality that was very busy, very business oriented. And so every time we would present a case to him, it was always like not going to be a problem, but it was a hesitation, like, they're busy, and it's like, well, what can I do? And I would get really nervous with this physician. So I started practicing this technique, exactly what we did today, before I went into this conversation with him. And the one day I was so calm and composed, and he just, because he usually would bark. And so it made me nervous. And so I would get, my cheeks would get really red. I'd have little tears in my eyes because I was really nervous. This day it didn't happen. And he looked at me and says, are you listening to me? I said, yeah. And he said, and he didn't know what to do. He came back to my office a couple hours later, and he said, oh, really, what were you doing? Well, doctor, I was self-regulating. I was like, what's that? I didn't know you could, because the situation, again, think of the situations that you're in that you can't control. People are people, they're going to do their things, we may not agree, but the interesting part is I could, in the moment, be very calm, very coherent, my nervous system didn't react, because I had been doing this behind the scenes. What happened was I was more clear, I wasn't reactive, and he noticed. My husband used to notice that too. He says, work must have gone better for you today. And I said, why? He said, you're not yelling. I don't yell. Yeah, you do. So that's what really helped me as well. Please.
How long do you need to do the breathing for to get that result?
Well, it depends. Again, it depends on your, like how deeply wired the neural pathway is. So my reactivity, I was always like a rebellious kiddo. I was always like looking for something like, who's going to piss me off today? It's like, oh, you, awesome. Like on the 101. Oh my goodness. Road rage like you would believe. So it took me a little while because I didn't get that way overnight. The science shows between 6 to 8 weeks of consistent practice. And what that means is this type of practice, maybe 5-10 minutes a day, is a really great start. Now, there's also technology from HeartMath Institute, which I actually have the M-Wave here. We thought we'd have a big screen and a projector. No, you can stop by the booth, and I'm happy to share that with you all because it's really interesting. You can see the difference in your nervous system. You can see the difference not just in heart rate variability. Who knows about heart rate variability? Yeah, so there's a lot of monitoring that looks at your the emotional state, how it affects your heart rate variability. So what that means in a nutshell is we want a higher heart rate variability because it shows that our system is adaptable. So if I'm dealing with something, say I want to climb a flight of stairs, I want my heart rate to speed up so I can climb the flight of stairs. I don't want my heart rate to stay high the whole time. I want it to be able to slow down. We lose that mechanism under pressure, under stress, there's trauma. So depending on the level of the trauma, that's how long it will take to really see some inroads. But you can see things, even people have better sleep maybe 3-4 nights after doing this practice. It's just different for each person. So any other questions around this? Any other insights, please? It's heart math. Heart math, yeah, and there's no math. You don't have to be good at math. Because when I first took this class, I'm like, I did not do well. I didn't take calculus because I'm not really good at that. They're like, no. The math is in the technology, but it's a heart math system. And it really is, when you look at the algorithms, and just research it, heartmath.com, heartmath.org. They have training programs. They have all kinds of things that you can learn to kind of leverage your heart wisdom in these unprecedented times. But it's a company called HeartMath. But this technique that we just did is called the quick coherence technique. And then when we now send love to others, then it becomes heart lock in. And what are we locking in? Intentionally, love, appreciation, gratitude, and coherence. And it's measurable. Again, I'm happy to share that with you guys. At the booth, we also were doing chakra scans, whole different equipment. Similar concept. How much energy do you have? How aligned are your energy centers? So this is all measurable. Those of you that are intuitive, you probably already know this stuff. But for those of us that are really scientific, that are a little resistant, that need the evidence, this is what really helps as well. Any other insights? I want to hear. What did you guys get? Did you guys get any wisdom? Yeah, please.
Okay, I had not long ago a heart surgery, and I'm getting mad. My heart, because it takes so long to recover. When I did that, in the moment, I cannot say told, but I felt that my heart is not mad about me, but it's struggling to get recovered.
Ah, so you have a little insight. So what would you say is the emotion that you have around that, or the insight?
Yeah, I feel more joy that I'm not scared.
Oh, that's beautiful. More joy and less fear. Wow, that's a win. So the heart, when we stop enough to ask, how can I help you? What do you want me to know? It's in that stillness. This is awesome. My gosh, the brain, oh my word. It served me well. It analyzes, it strategizes, it's so great. And if we're not tapping into the heart, we're only getting half the message. These two work together. And when you think about the messaging between these two, as a matter of fact, if you think about the heart or the brain, which one do you think sends more information to the other? Shout it out. What do you guys think? Yes, it is the heart. It's about 80 to 90% of the messaging is going up from the heart. I learned that in school. And I was like, what? No, the brain manages everything. It's the processor. They work together, but this has much more influence over our energy, over our problem solving, and how we feel at the end of the day. The heart is where it's at. That's why we're talking about heart wisdom. So the insights that you received today, please go forward, do this again. When you're quiet, when you're still, grab a cup of tea, whatever, and just tune into your heart and say, all right, love, what do you have for me today? And it may come in a whisper. It may come in like a flash of lightning. Who knows? You never know what you're going to get. If you get a message, and maybe this happened for you today, and you're thinking, yeah, I got this message, but I don't know. I don't want to, or that's really weird, or that's not going to work. If you second guess your heart, that's normal. Ask again. Do another technique. Kind of go back in and go, well, I have this information. What do I do with it? Get quiet. Ask the heart. And ask it to clarify. Say, how do I do that? Show me how to do that. I'll tell you one other thing. Let me just do a quick time check. No, there's no time here. What is the time?
2:29.
Thank you. Okay, good. So we still have some time. So I'm going to share with you a story. Story of my mother-in-law. So, bless her heart, she's gone. But the idea was when I was first learning this information, I was very skeptical. And so when I was doing this whole exercise that we just did, the idea about my mother-in-law, so we think about, and for your day-to-day, I want to make this practical for you too. Kind of go through a list in your mind. What are your top 3 energy drainers or your top 3 stressors? You may have more, but the idea is like your top 3, you think, oh, can you control anything about those 3 things? You may or may not. Some things you can't control, but they're still energy zappers. So my mother-in-law was a little bit of an energy zapper for me, only because we did not agree on certain things. You have families, you know what it's like. Sometimes you don't quite click with everybody. A lovely lady, we just did not click on 2 things, which I'm not going to discuss, but I would dread going to these family gatherings. And I would think, oh, you know, my husband would say, Mark, just don't bring it up. Don't go there. And I'm like, huh. I said, well, honey, if she doesn't, I won't. But if she does, I'm going to go. But she's wrong. You're so ego. You're so ego. Just me? Come on. Anybody else? But they're like, no, that's the person. Maybe just me. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, right? Right. So I thought, well, okay. And I thought, well, I knew from the science that every time I'd have that reaction, I would create, what hormone do you think is the stress hormone? Who knows? Cortisol. Yeah. So if I kick out cortisol because I'm dreading going to Easter dinner with my mother-in-law and my family, is that hurting her anyway? For me, cortisol, did you know that cortisol lasts in the bloodstream at least 12 hours after it's produced, whether it's a big irritation or just a little one? You still kick out cortisol, which I now have to metabolize for the next few days. So I learned that and I thought, well, let's try this technique. So I asked my heart. I said, hey, what do I need to do? What would best serve me? How can I see her in a way that would be beneficial? Because it really wasn't for her. It was for me because I didn't want to get the energy drain because it was all about me back then. So, and it really, at the end of the day, it really is about us. But the idea was, yes. Yes. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. Yes.
The East Coast is too much keeping up.
Yes. And you think about for you, whether it's a family situation, it could be, translate this into who in your life. It could be a friend, it could be a coworker, it could be anybody. Who is that person that you have a little friction with that you're like, oh, they could just change. They're not going to change. It is. And the interesting part was when I asked my heart, I was like, okay, what do you have to tell me? My heart said, love her. And my brain was like, but you don't understand. She's wrong. Yeah.
Now, one of that is all the other stuff is my thinking that is an obstacle to me having that. Just recognizing that.
Yeah, and we know that love, we've been taught this, love is the answer, love is the way to go, unconditional love, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know about, I didn't know how. And I thought, that's cool, I don't really want to, but I'm gonna try. I asked my heart again, I said, okay, I don't have clarity, I don't have a next step. So I dropped into my heart again, and I said, all right, show me how, because I don't know how. And what I got was something I've never received before, and I've never gotten prior to that. I saw a visual. I'm more of a feeler rather than a seer, but what I saw in my mind's eye was her holding my husband as a baby. And my heart just opened up and I started to cry. I went, I never saw her in that way until that moment. And I went, I can work with this. This is so good. Okay. So that's what I did. I did the exact technique that we did together. Heart, focused on the heart, appreciated her for creating an awesome guy. He's gone now as well, but she created this beautiful human being that I got to share almost 30 years with. And I saw her in that way. That changed our relationship in that moment. And it never went back to the way it was. I had no more drain. I was able to appreciate her for who she was in a different way. It's just a different perspective. Like, oh, from over here, I see you now. So this is just an invitation. If you're having something like that in your day-to-day and you're struggling with how do I do this, this is the answer for you. So try it. My invitation. Yes.
We're in this and police and that, is that like, but when we go to like the place she went to, that's and stuff. You mentioned that these two are connected. So then when I saw that, when you did it, then seeing that, it's just that awareness.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a whole different elevation, a different perspective. That's what these techniques really do. You know, I'm not really like selling HeartMath, but it's just so interesting because it's such a big part of my life. Is the logo for HeartMath is a plus sign and a heart. And you think about if you add to any situation, if you add heart to it, you add that heart energy, the openness, like you said, the softness, the receptivity, rather than coming in with resistance and defensiveness and all the stuff that I had so much built up since I was a kid. It's like, wow, what if I soften and I change me? And I will tell you the second part of that story is I went into that Easter dinner, had that, you know, I'm like, here we go. And my husband's like, Barb, I'm like, I'm on it. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing, but I am, you know, I have a thing. So she said the thing, she said the same comment, and I had no emotional response. It was neutral. And I said, you know what? You might be right. And I let it go. And that in and of itself would have been huge. But what happened in the next 5 seconds, she takes her glasses off, she pats me on the cheek. She had never done that. And I thought, okay, this is different. She says, you know what, honey? She never called me honey before, but she said, honey, I don't think I tell you often enough just how much I love you. And I couldn't have picked a better wife for my son.
Bring it right back at you.
Okay. So there's 7 kids in the family. They knew over all the years that we were going to talk about this topic. So like, we got to go. They all came out of the woodwork and like, did mom have wine? And this is so different than what usually happens. And the next day, I was still in heart math training. I had a call with my mentor and I said, what is this voodoo that you guys do? Because, and they're like, well, it's the energetic that you're broadcasting. Your heart sends energy. I said, but she didn't know. And Trisha was like, well, Barb, this is energetic. It's not visible. So that's how we can change our relationships. We don't have to say a word. We can just be in that presence. Broadcast that love, that appreciation. It might change. It may not change the other person. I'm saying individual results may vary. You don't know. Please. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So true. It's so true what you're saying. For those who couldn't hear, there has to be some type of receptivity on the other person's part. And the interesting part is the curiosity of and being open to the possibility of that. I had no idea that this was going to be my reality. I've done this since with other people, with work groups. This is when we go in, and there's a lot of friction sometimes. And sometimes people do not want to change, and it is what it is. But I have seen this where in work groups, there's maybe 10, 15 people in a work group. Another work-related story that we had was they brought us in as an intervention to say, hey, there's one person that's really volatile and just struggling, and we want to do something, but we don't know what to do. So we came in, did our training. We're like, oh, kumbaya, everybody's going to come onto the heart. It's going to be great. That person quit because the energetic, which shocked me. I was like, oh, shoot. Now I got to rehire. And they're like, no, this is great. Thank you. That'll be $3,000 for that consultation. But the idea was, it was interesting because the energetic had changed in that area. And that person had the idea on their own. They weren't told to quit. They weren't told anything. They got the vibe that it was so energetically different, vibrationally different. They were no longer a match. And they left. And they found an awesome job that is even better. They brought somebody in, fresh energy. They wanted to be there. That productivity and that unit went sky high because it was a frequency match. So I'm just kind of sharing this, so this might be just some things to think about in terms of what's in your day. Who do you work with? Who do you play with that you might want to just practice this with? It could be somebody that you really struggle with. No expectations, just curiosity. Coming in with more compassion, more love, more ease. You might change that relationship with them as well. That's me. Any other questions or insights around the heart? Yes, please.
This, what would be the 3 main questions you would ask? Is there 3 or 4 questions?
Great question. So the question for those of you out there is, what would the 3 main questions be as we're going into the heart? What would we ask? So I would say, ask your heart what the questions are. For me, I think about, what is the pain point? What, even when I'm working with corporations, how can I help you? Because I don't know. Even when people come to me for coaching, they're like, well, what do you think about this? It's like, I don't know. I mean, I barely put myself together. I have no answers for you. I can help you to tune into your answers for you. So I would figure out, what is it? Where do I spend a lot of my energy in my day? What do I think about? What do I worry about? What is something that is on my mind? What's something that maybe has been really heavy for me? And then that might be something to say, with this situation, again, don't pick the biggest thing. I picked my mother-in-law as a big deal, but the idea is you can pick something small, get some success around it, start to trust your wisdom and your intuition that's coming through, and then go to that big hairy gorilla that you're like, okay, I'm going to tap into that. but where can you feel better in that situation? Show me from perspective is what I sometimes say. Help me to see this differently, because right now, the way I see it, I feel, and I like to label, I feel frustrated, I feel resentful, I feel betrayed, whatever the emotion is. Show me how I can feel differently, how I can feel better. And the heart's like, oh, because sometimes when we ask the heart, or we're asking ourselves, I work with my mother-in-law, why is she like this? Why is this happening? And the brain's like, oh, let me tell you, the last 20 years, blah, blah. And the brain's like, I've got it for you. Day by day by day by day. The heart's just like a different perspective to say, this isn't coming from the brain, it's coming from a different vantage point, different frequency. So that's where I would begin. The other thing I might say is, what can I be grateful for with this person? Show me what lesson they're teaching me. What lesson am I supposed to learn? Because we're in, I believe, in relationships for a reason. People don't cross our paths by coincidence. Sometimes we bring them in as teachers for us. And my mother-in-law was one of my best teachers, to teach me humility, to teach me appreciation. I wouldn't have seen that 20, 30 years ago. Today I see that. So maybe that will help. Any other questions? Thoughts, questions? All right, well, I appreciate your time. I know we're a little bit early, but if you want to come by our booth, I'm happy to go ahead and show you heart rate variability, how your thoughts, your emotions can make a visible change in your heart rate variability. We're also doing the aura scans, or the chakra scans, so you can kind of see what your chakras are doing, and we'll give you a little remedy to help them come back into alignment. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate you all. Good. Good for heart. Yeah, so yeah, we actually are selling. Oh, don't leave yet. I have gifts. Hang on. I'm glad you said that. We are selling that oil. Hang on. So I have SoulSearch robots here. So my question is, who thinks they traveled here from the farthest away? That's a weirdly worded question. Okay, so where are you from?
Chino Valley.
Chino Valley. Okay, that's a long way. Yes, further. Glendale. So Chino Valley beats Glendale. Okay. Oh, that's really hard. Well, Chino Valley. Anybody beat Chino Valley? No. Oh, how many miles would you say? 2 hours. Anybody drive further than 2 hours? No. Would you pass this down, please? So I'm going to give you one. So that is your SoulSearch roll-on, of course. Now I have another question. Who is the youngest person in the room? Yeah. Well, up to now. That should count. So anybody else from? You win. Yes, so baby, you're making a little star seed. That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you. How far along are you? Beautiful. Oh, so even imagine that little one getting all those hormones and all those feel-good hormones. Oh, yeah, the baby's like, yes.
Yeah.
Boy or girl? Well, welcome, little one. Oh, very fun. I ask that because sometimes we think about our young folks too, and I see young people coming up to our booth. That's our future, right? Think about who is leading the way. We have been around for a while, some of us longer than others, but that's the beauty of working with young folks, because they have that vision, they have that light, they came in for a very specific reason. So thank you for those of you that have had kiddos and have brought forward the legacy, who will be our leaders in the future. Because imagine a world where we live from here. What would that be like? So that's my hope, that is my intention, that is my deepest heart desire, is that we can really change the planet one heart at a time.